All right, welcome to Football Roundtable from the Couch Sports Talk Radio. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and notify for all of our latest news. How we doing today, boys? I got David Lodick and Eric with me tonight. David, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Sean. Yourself?
I am doing wonderful. Eric, how you doing?
Happy Wednesday. Doing pretty good, Sean. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You look like you just had some boneless wings from Applebee's. You look like you're fired up and ready to go.
I did have boneless wings tonight. Thank you.
Oh, Jesus. No, really? Okay. Well, with that being said, let's move into the news. You've got chicken tenders. We've been talking about this for a couple weeks, the first two, but CD was a no-show at the Dallas training camp. Kind of expected. Do we think this is going to linger on to the beginning of the season, or do you think they're going to tie things up, David?
I don't know. It's actually quite interesting if you ask me, because again, I mean, there's a couple guys who came and reported regardless of their contract situation, because you don't report, you don't get paid. And, you know, some guys are like, I ain't losing my money when I'm trying to get more money. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, I can't blame him. I mean, I get his frustration with Dallas, just watching what they've done in the offseason and their lack of importance to their players and who is important to that team, be it Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, or Dak Prescott. So, I mean, I understand his frustration. But again, when you're trying to get money, I wouldn't be leaving money on the table sitting at home.
All right, Eric, any thoughts on this?
God. So it's like when I go to work, it's like days of my life. And I'm with the Cowboys. It's always something, huh? You know, it's like soap opera at noon, and it's really bad acting. I mean, they're got to sign somebody, right? I mean, they can't just run out there and have Zeke snapping the ball and getting crushed like they did at the end of his career. So, I mean, they've got to put something together. I'm sure they'll sign CeeDee Lamb, even if they don't want to sign Dak. I'm sure he'll show up eventually, because we all saw what happened to Le'Veon Bell when he didn't show up. It was the worst decision he ever had. He ended up with Adam Gase. That was the end of him. So I assume that CeeDee Lamb probably gets taken care of. And but if they don't take care of him, they're not going to take care of Dak next year. So interesting to see what happens. But as far as the Cowboys are concerned, here we go with the soap opera of August.
I would like to know their cap space, what their cap situation is for Dallas. Just because from a standpoint of, you know, the fact that they didn't go quote unquote all in like Jerry said they were going to this offseason, I'm just curious to know what type of money they have to pay for CeeDee Lamb, because you figure he wants Justin Jefferson money, which is what, $32 to $35 million a year. So, I mean, can they afford to pay him that? And obviously they can, because they can turn it into a signing bonus where he gets his money and he wants so much guaranteed. But it will be interesting. Hey, Mr. Pioli, what's happening, my friend? So it's going to be interesting.
According to Sport Track, real quick, Sean, sorry, I'm doing our research tonight since KD's not here. According to the top 51 cap space, they've got $11,720,982.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not That's not a lot. With this whole thing for me is I kind of think Jerry Jones has lost it in a little bit. Just after the loss in the playoffs last year to Green Bay, he didn't seem like, I figured he was going to be fired up. And I think nowadays, the team is talking to him like, hey, what about Lamb? What about Lamb? And he's like, I'll take it medium rare. I think he got lucky with the hire of Jimmy Jones, and expects him to have that with the star players he brought in, have that kind of success. But I think he's taken his eye off the ball in a lot. I mean, Jason Garrett, 9 years. I mean, come on, because he just did whatever the hell Jerry told him. Jerry's not a football coach. He's an owner who's got a lot of freaking money. But he hasn't done the right things because Dallas should have been in multiple Super Bowls and probably won more. But at this point, it's just watching this happen to Dallas is disheartening a little bit. And
Sean, Sean, when you think about it, Jerry Jones got into a situation that was very advantageous to him when he bought the Cowboys. The Cowboys were on a downturn. Tom Landry was there his last year, right before Jerry Jones bought the team, and he was unceremoniously let go. They hired Jimmy Johnson, but you got to remember at that point, they made a huge trade and got huge benefit from Herschel Walker.
Right.
They hit on draft picks. Jimmy Johnson was 75% responsible for those draft picks, coming in, making a difference, making an impact. And, I've said it before because, like, watching my team play forever, they were never bad enough to get, like, a top 1, 2, 3 pick. They always played good enough to get, like, a number 12 to 16 pick. And it's harder to hit on those guys than you think because draft is a crapshoot. And Jerry Jones was fortunate to basically get 3 draft classes worth of Hall of Fame players, which carried the early 90s. And since then, Dallas has been a team that's been respectable from a record standpoint. But with Jerry Jones in charge of picking players and doing that, he hasn't hit on a lot of draft picks since. And so, at this point, and then you have a lame duck coach like Mike McCarthy coming in to his last season without a contract. It just looks like the luster's off the star. And it's unfortunate for Dallas, and it's unfortunate for, the Cowboy fans. But they just got to get used to the fact that this is going to be like 87, 88 Dallas Cowboy football all over again until either Jerry Jones sells the team or he hires a coach and he stops meddling in it and allows that guy to make football decisions.
Absolutely. And Anthony said he had some beef with my QB. I'm assuming he means Dak. But then he said, I give it 3 years. Jerry Jones going to sell or step down. And I totally agree with that. I don't think Jerry Jones at 84 years old is going to have the capacity to run the Cowboys. He might give it to his children who are in the organization itself. But on the other hand, they can say, hey, Dad, I'm going to take the 10, the 10 billion and I'm going to go live on an island somewhere. Yeah, okay. So you were talking about my personal, the Jets quarterback. We'll get into that in a second, but let me know what your beef is with Aaron. So I haven't really watched I didn't watch press conference today. I wanted to, but
what's up, Nick? Hey, I'm going to give it to Aaron. I'm going to give it to Aaron Rodgers a little bit because he finally admitted to the NFL what everybody in Buffalo knew, that Buffalo's the only team in New York State. That was beautiful. That was a thing of beauty. Okay. We didn't play in
Fucking
Canada. We don't play in Canada, Sean. We are the only state team in New York State. Get used to it, pal. You play in a
Buffalo's
garbage
armpit in New York. You go eat your fucking poutine where the fucking
You play on a garbage dump.
Get the fuck out of here.
You guys go in the end zone dumpster diving when you get there. Yeah, you guys
that's all right. Hey, at least I'm not dancing on freaking Indian bones from the sacred site. So
yeah, Sean makes a good point, because when you're dancing on Indian bones, you go to kick a field goal, and it magically the air takes it 40 yards from the field goal post. It's kind of funny. You guys are the
Buffalo Bills claim to fame wide right.
What kind of brain genius was like, hey, let's just build the stadium on all these Indian bones? I mean, it's like, bro.
I mean, it's never in the freaking parking lot. Aaron Rodgers been out all last season. Oh, put Anthony's thing up. Okay, and that's a reasonable assumption. He did train with Garrett Wilson, so he's got that going for him. The only thing I'd say about Aaron Rodgers is he doesn't really need a lot of time with receivers. He's going to tell them, you're going to do this, and this is how you're going to run it. And he's going to have success. He always has. I mean, that's just the fact is it's Aaron freaking Rodgers. I hated Aaron Rodgers for the longest time, and I still kind of secretly hate him.
Sean, you are 100% correct. He is the best field general in the AFC East.
He is the best. You say what you want, but you know what? How old is Aaron Rodgers?
40, 41?
41. Yet this guy up in the top corner with the Bettis jersey over his shoulder will sit there and tell you that Von Miller coming off an injury 2 years out is going to be awful, but Aaron Rodgers being 42 coming off an Achilles is the best quarterback in the AFC. I don't want to hear your nonsense.
Completely different.
And the fact is, you know what?
Von Miller is bending on a knee every play. Aaron Rodgers is getting
and when Aaron Rodgers is quarterback and he's going to be having to move every play.
He's not. He's going to get rid of the ball in a second and a half.
But more importantly, I don't care what quarterback you are. It matters zero, because you do need work with your wide receivers. You do need to get your timing down with your wide receivers. And I'm not going to sit here and say Aaron Rodgers showed up at OTAs. He didn't show up at the mandatory camp because he had to go find the Sphinx in Egypt or whatever the hell he was doing. And that's cool. I get it, and I understand. So I understand that he went to the mini camps and the OTAs and whatever. But, the thing is, and yes, Aaron Rodgers is a special breed of quarterback. I'm not knocking Aaron Rodgers' talent. I'm not saying that he's not one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That's not what I'm saying.
Don't apologize. Just say what you're going to say.
What I'm saying is your quarterback needs time with the receivers, especially when you have pretty much revamped your receiving core. And I don't care who you are. You need that time. So we'll see what happens. But I will say if the Jets win, it's more so because of their defense and their offense.
Which is the best.
That's fine, but their defense is actually going to get a chance to take some time off from a fucking game.
We'll see.
But anyway, we start with CeeDee Lamb. Now we're on the Jets. And we've talked about Buffalo too. Dear God, man, we're all screwed up.
Yeah. Now we know what Sean does in his off time.
No, I told you we had to bet every time Dallas and Philadelphia play. In the playoffs, the loser has to put a picture of himself on a thong on Facebook for 24 hours. All right. So second thing is we discussed this last week. We discussed it the week before, and the week before that, and the week before that. But Brandon Ayuk has shown up to camp without his contract. I personally like it. I think he's still going to get traded.
I don't think he gets traded. I think they sign him.
Maybe. Do you see the deal that the Patriots were offering? It was a good deal.
But I have, I've seen the Patriots, but I understand. Like I said, the one thing that I will say, and I said it last week, I said it the week before, and the week before, and the week before. Frisco's in win now mode. There's no amount of draft picks you're going to give that team that is going to help them win today because the draft is over. If they were going to make a trade, they would have made it before the trade or before the NFL draft last year to get picks this year. With the receiving class that came out this year, there was no team that was willing to give up that kind of capital for Brandon Ayuk. So I think he's plays. I think they re-sign him at some point, and I believe that he ends up staying with the 49ers for another 3 or 4 years because I believe they give him the money.
Okay, so I'm going to counter Dave. They don't have the money to give him for 3 or 4 years because this team is going to be trash in 2 years because they have too many big contracts. So it's the beginning of the end because they got to pay Purdy or decided they're paying Purdy, and that's where all their free money is going to go. So what they're going to do, they better figure it out what they're going to do because he's going to show up and he's going to play, but he's going to make business decisions about how hard he plays and about stretching himself out. This isn't, middle school or high school football where these guys are playing for the love of the game. They're playing for money in their contracts. And this guy is going to go over the middle, be like, nah, I'm not getting hit by this safety. I'm not going for it. And it's going to cost San Francisco dearly in some big games because the line between winning and losing is razor thin. So if he starts deciding I'm making business decisions and they put him out on the field, they're going to lose. So they need to figure out how to trade him for the betterment of the team and get something out of him because they don't have the money with Javon Hargrave and all these other contracts they've given out and Purdy coming up next year to be paying people. Mark my words, if San Francisco doesn't win this year, they should fire their entire front office because this team will be bad in 2 or 3 years due to all these big contracts they have. Now, as far as Knicks, I would give it a 30-70. I think CeeDee Lamb ends up getting the contract is more likely Dallas because Dallas doesn't have any other options where San Francisco has other options. So I believe if I had to be putting odds in Vegas, I'd say 30% chance he gets traded. The only way is if Dallas decides, hey, we're trading Dak and we're done. And we're just going to blow the whole thing up right now because Jerry's at Hooters and he's got 12 beers in him or something. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
See, I would.
That's pretty high.
But I would, in my opinion, I would tell you the opposite. I would tell you that, to me, if I was looking at the two teams, if I was looking at Dallas and I'm looking at San Francisco, I would tend to more or less think if I can get the right compensation package, I'm trading CeeDee Lamb because Dallas, after they don't sign Dak, they're going to be crap anyway. You're going to have Trey Lance throwing the ball to CeeDee Lamb. Okay, so get ready for that. So if I'm Dallas, I'm looking at my team and saying, okay, I got my one of the best defenders in football whose contract is up. I got CeeDee Lamb whose contract is up. I got Dak Prescott whose contract is up. Out of those 3 players, which is the guy that I need to anchor my team around? It's going to be Micah Parsons. He's going to get paid out of those 3. So if I'm Dallas, and again, it's what is the right compensation and what team is willing to give me what for CeeDee Lamb. If a team today says, okay, I'll give you a first and 25, a first and 26, a second and 26 or whatever. If I'm Dallas, I'm saying sure. Because like I said, you don't have the money. You're not going to have that money to pay those 3 guys. So if you can get that type of return for a player like CeeDee Lamb, when you know your team in 2 or 3 years is rebuild time anyway, you jump on that and take it. And in contrast to Ayuk, San Francisco has an open window to the Super Bowl. You do not trade away a guy who's going to help get you to the Super Bowl for draft picks for the future. Now, what I would say to you, Eric, though, what I would say in counter to what you said is I could see them paying CeeDee Lamb the type of money that he wants for this year, allowing him to be a free agent next year. If that was the trade-off and say, hey, okay, we're going to give you X amount more dollars this year to play. And next year we won't franchise you, and we will let you test free agency.
Okay.
Because we are in win now.
Dave, real quick, Tim asked what would be a good compensation package for CeeDee Lamb. I'd say 2 first-round picks. I mean, that sounds about right. 25, get a first, 26 a first, or some combination of that. Now, Dallas has got to put asses in the seats, and you got to convince people that you're still trying to win, because you'll have just bad news for a team that sells a lot of merchandise if you just say, well, we're just going to just throw it all away. They won't do that. They'll try at least to somewhat look like they're trying to compete. So I give it a 30% chance, because they could decide, well, we're going to play out with Dak. We're going to try to get some draft choices. We're going to try to make this happen. Now, if money is the problem on this one with Ayuk and Trent Williams, Trent Williams wants to play, where Ayuk's like, hey, I don't want to be there. You can't win with a guy that doesn't want to go out there and win. I'm telling you, I don't care. Unless you pay him, he's not going to go out there and perform.
Well, again, I don't think it's Ayuk doesn't want to be there. He just wants to get paid. I don't think
if you don't pay him, he's not going to play.
Well,
his best.
Well, we'll see. But again, I mean, I know he was talking to John Lynch today. He didn't practice, but he was there, and he was talking to John Lynch. So I'm sure they're trying to work something out. Because, again, Ayuk is another guy who wants to get paid, and he wants to make money, not lose it. So he shows up. Now, what that means in the long run, but I'm just trying to be a realist when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, and I say to myself, realistically, if money is the problem and money is the issue, okay, CeeDee Lamb is already basically, you ain't going to franchise me because I won't play. I want money today. I'm not going to show up to training camp. I don't care. It's the principle of that for him, because I don't look at CeeDee Lamb as a Le'Veon Bell situation, because I think CeeDee Lamb flourishes wherever he goes. I think it's a lot easier for wide receivers to be successful than it is running backs, because in a running back situation, as a running back, you get used to your offensive line. You get used to how they block. You get used to being able to do the things you do as a running back based on what your offensive line does. So I think it was a lot harder for a guy like Le'Veon Bell to go to the Jets, but forget who the head coach was, but the offensive line was a completely different monster, and he wasn't used to that blocking scheme. He wasn't used to those guys doing the things that Pittsburgh offensive line allowed him to be comfortable doing.
Sean, Adam Gase was the worst coach.
Oh, sure he is. Oh, I get that. I understand. No, you don't have to tell me.
He ruined Le'Veon Bell. But moving forward, Dave, I just think you'll get him to show up, but you'll get what do they call it? Quiet quitting. He won't play his best unless they figure out how to compensate him.
Michael Paola, yes. Yes, the Jets will figure it out. There's too much going on. They're still posting stuff about him on their social media. They're going to pay Riddick.
Well, they offered him a contract. They offered him a new contract when they traded for him, and he turned it down.
Yeah, but they're going to get it done. He wouldn't have agreed to go.
No, Chip Kelly was okay. He just got a lot of hate because he started Blaine Gabbert, and everybody was
Chip Kelly was awful. He traded LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso. Straight up. Traded LaShawn McCoy. He's the worst coach ever.
Enrico Palazzo, he sung the national anthem in Naked Gun, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, just making sure we're talking about the right person.
He saved the queen.
Adam Gase was like wiping your ass with
sandpaper.
A sandpaper made of glass, and then putting a salt compress on it.
I wonder if Adam Gase has the same dealer that Aaron Rodgers has, because I used to watch him at press conferences, and those were comical. Still to this day, they're some of the best press conferences of all time, watching his eyes float around. He was on something. I'm not sure what was going on with the guy, but it was quite something.
I think the problem with Chip Kelly was he wanted every Oregon Duck who ever played on his football team, because he thought his college team could beat any pro team, and he's just awful.
That style of offense just didn't work in the NFL. It didn't mean he's a bad coach. He was inventive. It just wasn't going to work.
No, not when you have players of this caliber.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on.
Let's go move on
to the next segment. And Mike Paoli, fuck you. Okay, so this was something I picked up on, and it's, I don't know how true it is, but the 5 team fan bases who are most desperate for a Super Bowl.
Sure.
So in the number 5 position, they have Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that one. Number 4 is Cleveland. Obviously that one, they haven't won since 1957, yeah, when Jim Brown was playing.
Well, they didn't even win a Super Bowl. They won a championship.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the Bills, who obviously
Sure.
in full. Detroit is number 2. And they're the only team who has been around in the entire Super Bowl era and never been to a Super Bowl.
Did Cleveland made it to the Super? Oh yeah, they did.
Were an expansion. They're an expansion team.
Oh Jesus. Yeah. Okay.
They were not. They didn't exist for 3 years. And number 1, which I found strange because I figured someone else would have been had this, but it was they say the Jets. Obviously, for a fan base, because most of us alive have, never seen Super Bowl 3. I actually watched it 2 weeks ago. I was just like, I gotta watch this whole game. I've seen highlights of it, and I watched the whole game. It was an ugly freaking game. They should not have won that game.
I disagree with that list. I would put Buffalo at number 1, and I would put Minnesota before the Jets. Because both those franchises went 0-4 in Super Bowls. I would put Minnesota and Buffalo 1 and 2. Because
the only reason why I don't think they're on the list like Minnesota is because they really don't have a chance this year or next year. And these are 5 teams that actually might have a chance in the next 2 years. If your team's terrible, So,
Eric, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead. Explain your wisdom on Buffalo not having a chance. So go ahead.
Oh, God. A list of Buffalo and Cleveland. I went to take my dogs out, and they were like, oh, we're talking about Buffalo and Cleveland together. I mean, that makes sense. Cleveland doesn't have a chance, and I know that we have friends on Let's Go Brownies, and I commend them for continuing to do a show on a really terribly run franchise that has been terribly run forever, that gave Deshaun Watson a terrible contract who's going to doom them forever because he's being paid $50 million. He has 13 touchdowns in 2 years, and that their whole plan is we're going to throw Deshaun Watson back out there. I commend them. I would no chop, but they don't have a chance. So forget Cleveland. They'll be 6-11 again and back to doom because Deshaun Watson sucks. Buffalo, Josh Allen can do things and has a chance if somehow receivers start maturing and the coach isn't a horse's ass and doesn't blow games at the end, but the same horse's ass coach, same plan, and less elite weapons, I would say. So I'm not sold on Curtis Samuel. Your Jets, Aaron Rodgers is an MVP. He's very smart. Is he going to be not on drugs? I mean, does he? They have the defense. They have the wide receiver core. The offensive line needs to be better, but they probably are the only team on that list.
Why? I just need to understand why.
Why what?
Why do you never worry about Aaron Rodgers like you do about every other player who comes back from major injury, number one at his age? Like, you just think this guy's going to walk in and throw for 5,000 yards and 45 touchdowns.
I can answer that.
For his Achilles tendon.
Yeah, so he was.
And it affects guys who are 25, let alone 42.
At the end of the year, he was walking around. His movement looked pretty good. And then if they were in contention, he could have played.
My cousin walked around after he broke his Achilles.
He could have played at the end of the year. So his recovery is going very well. So he's had a whole other offseason to recover. And plus, his style is he's going to get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. He's not. You always talk about like Von Miller.
Have you watched his style? Have you seen him like roll around to the outside and
he's a different at the end of the green bag run, and I shared that on the chat. He's different. He's getting rid of the ball, super quick, super efficient, knows where he's going with the ball before he gets rid of the ball. Being a quarterback isn't running around and having a great giant arm and breaking tackles. I mean, that's not quarterback. Quarterback is, in my mind, is the guy that's got it up here. I still think Aaron Rodgers has it up here. I think he's
Garrett Wilson. I don't know about I like Malachi Corley, but I don't know about the other guys. Randall Cobb finally decided to walk
out. Williams from L.A. Chargers.
Okay, for 3 games and my hamstring hurts. Oh, and the New York Jets artificial turf there, their field. That's going to cause more shit than anything else for both those guys, for all those guys. That's going to shorten their careers by 5 years.
I'm not going to debate that. I think you are 100% right in that statement. That's the only time I've heard a true word come out of your mouth. But anyway, so do we all think the Jets are number one? Do we think that the Jets fan base?
I don't think in terms of fan bases who want a Super Bowl,
who are most desperate.
Buffalo. Buffalo's number one. Buffalo. I would say from a desperate fan. Look at, and not because I'm a Bills fan, but if you look at for the Jets this year have finally been anointed as a team who could win the Super Bowl. For the last 3 years, Buffalo 2 years in a row has been the choice by most media outlets and prognosticators to get to the Super Bowl, if not win the Super Bowl. So if you're asking me who is whatever, Eric, sure. And Pittsburgh's even lower, so I don't give a shit. But you asked me a question about desperate fan base. Buffalo is, because I think from a standpoint of what everybody's talked about Buffalo as being this team who could be there at this point in time, I would say that them and Detroit are 1 and 2 for teams.
I was going to say Detroit this year, or this past season, doubled their amount of playoff wins in history.
Sure.
Dave, I love the desperate. I love the desperation from you.
Well, that's what it said. Who's most desperate as a fan base? So as a fan base, desperation, I think Buffalo, because number one, they went to 4 straight and probably should have won 1 out of the 4, meaning the Giants game, and they didn't.
I just don't buy desperation when you get rid of a elite wide receiver and you try to tell me Curtis Samuel is going to.
I don't. But I'm telling you that he did not fit into what the Bills' offense is all about. Obviously, if you watched last season, after Joe Brady came in, he had an average 56 yards a game in receptions. So he was really not part of the game plan, and he wasn't worth the $24 million that they were paying him. So they said goodbye because their offense is going to be different. So
better check it out the season.
He's 31 years old. So that's just called smart forward thinking for your franchise.
And then you're trying to be desperate, but then you trade away your first round draft pick to a team who last time took your first round draft pick and made it into a legendary draft pick. And so what I see is a lot of financial.
If Xavier Worthy is an elite wide receiver, all the power to him. That's cool. I think we did fine.
Okay. Moving on.
So from that, I personally think Detroit is number one.
I say Detroit.
And I have such a soft spot in my heart for Detroit. If the Jets were not in contention, I'd be 100% behind Detroit. I'd be hanging a banner of Detroit back here because, man, I love those guys. All right, so let's go in and let's do a little buy or sell. Okay, we know it's not going to happen in our job. Oh. Oh, fucking
hey, Jeff's not even here.
I think we should, Mike. Let's talk about him.
No.
What's his name? The greatest defensive player in Jaguar history, Josh Allen?
I think he might be. Josh Allen. I think he might be the best.
No. What's his new name? It's not Josh. It's not
Hines Allen.
What's that?
Joshua Hines Allen.
Yeah, Josh Hydes Allen. So see, there's only one Josh freaking Allen left in the NFL.
Did you see the drippy look that he tried to show up to training camp with, by the way?
What's
I'm
that?
sure you did. Did you see his look when he came to training camp?
Josh?
Yeah, your guy.
Yeah, man, he's all Hollywood style now, baby.
He's probably went like public on Instagram with the Seinfeld.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld. He went public on Instagram with Jerry.
Hey, at least he doesn't have to worry about money anymore. But anyway, all right. So let's roll into buy and sell. Then we're going to do some way too early season picks,
right,
winners and losers.
Nick, you're very true about that. Number one fantasy player for 3 years in a row, Josh Allen, right there.
Yep.
So, speaking of that, we are going to get our From the Couch Fantasy Football League up and running. Anybody wants to partake in it, let me know. We'll probably have
still a $50 buy-in.
Still $50 buy-in, but yep, we got the belt, we get the rings, we get it all. So
you can win a shirt every week just for being freaking lucky, like an autographed jersey. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I know. So ready and fire it up.
Or sell.
I'd buy that for $1.
Need to buy it. I'm buying it. I'm buying it. I'm buying.
They're selling, Mortimer.
Look, lady, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
Well, you idiot. Get back in there at once and sell.
All right, throw up my slides. This week, the Bleacher Report came out with 10, 2 of which I put to the curb, but they're buying or selling. Dallas Cowboys CeeDee Lamb sets regular season receptions record. David, you buying or you selling this?
Until I see him in training camp. If he's not in training camp, I don't think he plays week 1. So I would say I'm selling this right now.
Eric?
Too much uncertainty with CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to sell it, but if he gets a new contract, I might buy it.
All right. I'm going to sell it. I don't think he's going to be the reception leader for the league. I don't see it. All right, next one. Chicago Bears Caleb Williams shatters rookie passing record.
What's that passing record?
I don't fucking know.
Look
Eric,
it up, let me know, but go ahead, Eric. You get your dibs.
So if it's quarterback rating, it's Ben Roethlisberger, so that's not going to happen. So I'm going to not to be a homer, but I'm going to sell this because I'm not sold that you're going to come from the Pac-12 where they don't play any defense and then come be good in November and October in the winds of Chicago and Green Bay. So I'm going to sell this.
I am also going to sell it. I think this kid is a bust.
Mr. Paoli's going to buy it, but I'm going to sell it for one reason and one reason only. Chicago hasn't had a passing anything since 1950. I think their all-time leading passer was their quarterback in 1954 or something. Like, I don't think any quarterback that's played in Chicago since like the 50s has ever beaten this guy, and I don't even know who he is. So that goes to show you how inept and terrible Chicago Bears quarterbacks are. So there ain't no way Caleb Williams is shattering anything but his ankle on the frozen ground of Chicago Soldier Field.
He does have the weapons, though. That's the one reason why I kind of
Thank you very much, Andrew. It was 43-74 by Andrew Luck. Not a shot in hell.
Yeah, I don't think he's got the weapons to do it, though.
Not a shot in hell.
All right. So the next one from the Bleacher Report. Washington Commanders go from worst to first in the NFC East. I am selling this. No way. Rookie contract, brand new coach. I think they're going to be better than a lot of people give them credit for, but they're not going to. I think the Eagles got this division wrapped up. David.
No, I'm selling that, but I do think they could finish ahead of Dallas because Dallas is a dumpster fire. But I don't think Philadelphia is too talented. I don't think they beat out Philadelphia for first.
I think this is the most interesting division to me. Are you boys watching Hard Knocks?
No.
Okay. David, are you watching Hard Knocks?
I've actually watched a couple. I haven't watched it all.
I've been watching it every Tuesday night on HBO with my boneless buffalo wings from Applebee's. And I've been enjoying it. But I will say this. I think that you could see half the teams end up shaking their management up, a.k.a. Dallas or the Giants, if they don't win. Though the Giants, I'm not convinced the Giants are going to be a dumpster fire like everybody else is on this chat. So I think the Giants will be better because I like Brian Dable. I think he's a genius. And he did carry Josh Allen to an AFC title. But I'm going to buy the Washington Commanders as the NFC East champions because I think the Philadelphia Dream Team, whenever they have these, they have a coach that can't control them in the locker room, and so if they have a bad stretch like they did last year, you're going to have them all fighting in the locker room. And I think their coach gets fired by week 10 because I think they, just like last year, I don't think he has very good control over his team. So honestly, management has to be as good as the players do. So I'm going to buy it.
Okay, so I'm going to say something here, Sean, real quick. I don't know what you talk, but it is. Wait, sorry, not that one. Where to go? It is because of comments like this that we are now going to be sending out random drug tests to all of our viewers.
Wow. Okay, that's right. Insult the 3 people who watch us.
Hey, it's my buddy Timmy. It's my buddy Tim. He's a Bills fan. He knows it's all in fun.
All right, Tim. Good man. But to quick touch on that, first of all, after that comment and the Applebee's comment, we now know why you always pause your videos. You always say, "Oh, the dogs were barking." It's because you ate those boneless wings and you're indisposed. And yeah, that's as far as the Giants. I don't know what to say about that. Okay, next one. Justin Fields emerges as Pittsburgh Steelers' long-term solution at QB. I forgot who the hell's this is for. Oh, that's you, David.
And I am going to sell this. I don't think Justin Fields is long-term anybody's solution at quarterback. It's been 4 years. I think he might make a good backup. I think he is. I'll say it, and Eric will laugh, and he'll look at me and accuse me of being whatever. But I will say that this guy is going to be like, and I'm not trying to toot his horn, so don't get all, but he's going to be a guy like a Mitch Trubisky who's going to be a backup. He can come in a pinch and maybe win you a game or two that you need to, but I just don't think he's going to be anybody's long-term starting solution as quarterback.
I'm going to sell this too, Sean. I do think that from what I know, from what Tomlin, I listened to Tomlin, believe it or not, and he was talking about the readiness and what he thought of the quarterback position, and he's pretty high on Russ's work ethic and how much work Russ has put in this offseason. So he didn't mention Fields and his work ethic. So if you read between the lines there, Russ has outworked Fields in front of Tomlin. And so I think that plays a role in it. The only way he sees the field at the quarterback in a long-term area is if Russ suffers an injury. I think you see him emerge, though, as a Tyson Hill type weapon, and I think you'll see him in many different ways out of the backfield, out of the wildcat, and out wide. And I think you'll see a new version of his career be born. I do think he's not a long-term option at quarterback, but I think you can use his speed and his athleticism in many ways. And my dogs agree.
All righty. I am buying this one. I am buying it hook, line, and sinker. I think Russell Wilson's decline kind of speaks for itself. Last couple seasons in Seattle. I think that probably mid-season, a little bit later, when they get into the dog days of their schedule, which is really fucking scary, he's going to come out, and I think he's going to offer something. And I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be in a position to draft another high QB. So I think this. I like him. I think this kid's going to be able to turn it on. So, that's kind of it for me.
I just want to respond to Tim real quick because he says, I don't buy the backup thing. How many QBs once they go to another team and light it up? Tim, I've seen it happen. I've seen a Nick Foles come in there and do things and so on.
Brett Favre?
Brett Favre, but Justin Fields and Brett Favre, you shouldn't even use in the same sentence. But the simple fact is this. Justin Fields Brett Favre had, half a season in Atlanta before he was traded to Green Bay or whatever. He played the full season, whatever it was. The fact is Justin Fields is 5 years into his career. He has, if you talk about a floor and a ceiling, he's probably reached his ceiling. You would have to have him go to a QB coach and strip him all down of everything that he knows to be successful in this league. And I don't know if somebody wants to invest the time and energy to do that to a guy like Justin Fields. You don't want to take everything away from him, but the one knock on Justin Fields is he's a one-look quarterback and then he runs. He doesn't know how to read defenses. That's just what it is. So if you're asking me if Justin Fields can be the answer for another team, he might be a stopgap for a year or two when they draft a rookie and they need somebody to just fill in as a year for a starter. But he will never be a long-term answer for anybody's quarterback situation, in my opinion.
Okay, and that's your opinion, and that's great. But just remember, look at his fucking coaching staff in Chicago. And this is exactly what Caleb Williams is walking into. Eberflus. Guy hasn't won more than 3 games in a season in 3 freaking years.
No, I don't disagree, Sean. I don't disagree.
For success. Under Tomlin?
But understand, and this is just like I said, there have been multiple quarterbacks who have been drafted by bad teams, okay, and have endured bad coaching and have never been able to get out of the practices and the habits and the things that they've done. Josh Rosen is a prime example. He went to a team that really didn't want him, because the minute he was drafted, they fired their coaching staff and got a new coach. And so he was dead in the water, and he never got the opportunity under anybody to develop to what everybody thought his potential was going to be. And he floundered, and now he's out of the league. So again, I think there are quarterbacks who can be good if they're drafted to the right team and have the right coaching staff and the right guys in place to mentor and help the quarterback develop. But once you've been in the league for 5 years under a certain thing, it takes a lot for you to unlearn what you've already got to. And so you'd have to find the right coach. And I don't know if Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh is the right coach for Justin Fields to be a long-term solution.
So here's the deal, Sean. Russ is going 20-0, running the Super Bowl MVP. Next question.
Okay, on that, we'll let it go. Okay, Cleveland Browns, Nick Chubb returns from knee injury to lead the NFL in rushing in 2024. Eric, you buying or selling?
So reports are he's on the pup and he's not going to start the season. So I'm going to sell this because from what I heard, and good on him that he's doing, 500 whatever pounds on squat, I've heard that he's not going to be ready to go at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to sell it. If he was healthy and he started week 1 and everything was good to go, I think that he could, because Cleveland has really, outside of Cooper, a crappy offense, but a good offensive line, but no real great skill players. So I think he could behind that offensive line, but he's not going to be ready. Saquon Barkley will lead the league in rushing because Hurts will be hurt, and maybe Hans Pickett will be handing him the ball.
All righty. And everyone, I just want you to know this: these buy or sells from the Bleacher Report. This was released 2 days ago, so this isn't going back, before we knew all this shit. We know this shit's happening. I am going to sell this. I think he's going to have a good year, but against those defenses in the AFC North, I don't see it happening to lead the league, the NFL in rushing. David?
Yeah. Even if he started from day one, I would sell it. Again, I think the fact that he's gone through multiple knee surgeries for an ACL, he's not going to be. He'll be 80% of Nick Chubb. I don't think he'll ever be back to 100% of Nick Chubb. Maybe 85% of Nick Chubb. So even if he started from day one, but from what I'm hearing, it's looking more like mid to end of October, beginning of November before he sees the field. But even like I said, if he started day one, I'm selling this. I don't think that he would have led the league in rushing anyway. So, yep, sell for me.
Okay, so David, you're not a full Chubb. You're like a partial Chubb.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm partial Chubb. I'm
just making sure. At our age, that's quite normal.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So Los Angeles Chargers, Jim Harbaugh wins NFL Coach of the Year in 2024.
Absolutely sell this. The Chargers win 7 games this year. There's no way Jim Harbaugh wins Coach of the Year. None.
Okay. Eric?
7. You're a cockeyed optimist up there. I don't see him winning 7 games.
Wow.
So, no, real quick, Dave, who do you have as your early Coach of the Year? Just real quick.
Early Coach of the Year?
Early Coach of the Year. Not a quick diatribe. Just a quick one.
My early Coach of the Year is DeMeco Ryans.
Okay. I think it might be Dayball again. But go ahead, Sean.
I'm drug testing the panel now as well, Tim. You're not alone.
Now, this guy's going to go from the hot seat to Coach of the Year is going to be Robert Saleh. Okay. So, buy or sell, Indianapolis Colts QB Anthony Richardson wins the MVP award. It was supposed to be my turn last time, but I'm going to just step in here because David fucked things up as usual. I'm selling this. No fucking way. David?
No, never, no. Nope.
Can we drug test the Bleacher Report? I mean, we're complaining about me talking about Dayball. I mean, he's actually won the damn thing. Anthony Richardson played, 4 games, and we're ready to declare him going to win the MVP? Sell.
Yeah, I mean, the Sports Illustrated guy was worse than this.
Now, I'll tell you what. Now, if Bleacher Report wanted to tell me to, hey, take $10 to Vegas and go put money down because by the end of my buys and sells throughout the offseason, you too can be a tycoon billionaire and bet on all my long shots. Yeah, I might do that, but this guy's stupid.
All right. Well, let's hope.
Stranger things have happened. I will say
sponsorship
things have happened.
And last but not least, Detroit Lions will win their first Super Bowl. David.
I wish it didn't say win. I wish it said get there. But you know what? I'm going to be a total Detroit optimist. And because Detroit is really my second favorite team. I love Detroit. I love Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell should actually be Coach of the Year. But so again, if it can't be my Buffalo Bills, I will buy that it will be the Detroit Lions because I love Detroit, and I would love nothing more if it wasn't my Bills to see Detroit win the Super Bowl.
Eric,
for the love of God, I'm going to take the field as of today, so I'm going to sell.
Okay, I also going to sell, although I'm going to mark this down today. If it comes down to the Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl, and the Detroit Lions win, I will drive down to Phoenix, buy myself a dozen boneless wings from Applebee's. I will come back here, and on the program, I will eat them while discussing the magnificence of the Detroit Lions.
If that happens, I will not be here that day. You will find me hanging out of my window off my balcony with a rope around my
Can you imagine that? Just wait a minute. For those of us that are in the chat that still pay attention to the chat, not you, Sean, because you muted it. But for those of us that still listen, can you imagine the next morning waking up to what the shitstorm that I would give on Jeffrey Loddick and Dave Loddick if they lost to Detroit in the Super Bowl? That would be like especially if they missed a field
You'd
goal.
be in your freaking glory, dude. You'd like run down the street with blue and silver paint on you, and you'd be like giving us the finger and
Wearing a thong.
That would be my hell. But you know what? Again, I will say this. I love Dan Campbell as a coach. I love what he's done with Detroit since he's been there. So it might lessen the blow an ounce, but again, you know, it could be worse. It could be Buffalo versus Minnesota, the 2 0-4 Super Bowl teams, and we still lost. Then I would really be like, especially if Sam Darnold was quarterback, then I would quit watching football.
All righty. So my brother-in-law is a Vikings fan. I'll have to start going for the Vikings. Okay, so that's it for buy or sell. We can get this shit off the screen. Thank you all for paying attention. Some of these I just got to pick them up every week and figure it out. We're going to obviously stop doing it as the season gets closer, but at least it gives us something to talk about now. So we missed it last week, but I am keeping all the records and way too early predictions for each NFL team. We have to do 2 this week, so if we can whip through them.
Yeah, and people in the chat.
And then at the end of the year, we're going to look and see who was
sure. And people in the chat, feel free to give your wins and losses as well.
Absolutely. And when the NFL season starts, when our show comes on, we're going to go through every game. Everyone picks winners or losers. All fans, please get it down because at the end of the year, we're going to be giving some merchandise away. And and even though these guys haven't bought their own shirts except for Eric, we're all good. Okay, so we're going to go. We did the AFC 2 weeks ago, AFC West. We're going to do the NFC West. And these are in no particular order, just the ones I have in front of them. We're going to go with the LA Rams. David, we're going to go to you.
Okay.
They are at the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football to open the season.
Loss.
Okay. Then they are at the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm going to say win.
Okay. Then they have the 49ers at home.
Loss.
Then they are at the Chicago Bears.
Win.
Then they have the Green Bay Packers at home.
I'll say loss.
Then they have a bye week. Then they come back and they have the Las Vegas Raiders at home.
That's going to be a close game. At home, I'll say they squeak out a win.
Okay, then they have on Thursday night Minnesota Vikings at home.
No win.
All right, then they go to the Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle will be a loss.
Okay, then they host the Miami Dolphins on a Monday night.
Man. I'm going to say win.
All right, then they go to the New England Patriots on November 17th in the morning.
Win.
Okay, then they have the Philadelphia Eagles at home on Sunday Night Football on the 24th of November.
They lose.
Okay, then they are at the New Orleans Saints.
Win.
Then they host the Buffalo Bills at home.
Loss.
Then they are at the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday Night Football.
Loss.
Then they are at the New York Jets on a Sunday.
Loss.
Then they have the Arizona Cardinals at home.
Win.
Then they have the Seahawks at home to end the season.
They win.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you got them in 9 and 8. All right, Eric. Let's go to the fucking Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
And like at least they give you a good one, like here for, like you can easily do it. Like, look at this shit. This is what I can do for Arizona. We're fucking idiots here. And it's even worse with the fucking Seahawks. What the fuck is this? All right, so, okay, the Arizona Cardinals, week 1, they have the Bills at home.
Win.
Oh. It didn't matter.
Hey, Dave's wearing the colors, man. I'm a believer. Dave's got me sold.
You're just funny.
I'm going to go win because Buffalo sucks in week 1, but keep going.
Okay. Sure they do.
They have.
Okay.
The Jets, the Steelers. They have
they beat the Super Bowl champion Rams. They beat
the Jets, the Steelers. There's a recent trend of you losing week 1. So I'm just gonna go. What the hell? Go for it.
No, go ahead. You pick your team. I'm only if you think Buffalo's gonna lose, that's cool. Week 1. One more reason to laugh at you.
You know how wait a minute. Okay.
More salty than Buffalo.
I just figured this out because I'm like, they don't save as home or away.
Yeah, Buffalo. They're at Buffalo on week 1.
Yeah, they're at Buffalo first week of the season. Do you want to change your?
If it was at Arizona, like I thought it was, I would say Buffalo gets beat. But the Bills are at home. I still think it's going to be a really, really competitive game that they're going to overlook. But we'll give them a loss, 20-19.
Okay. And the only thing I want to point out here, Arizona for the first 4 weeks is locked into their schedule. Starting at week 5, they are subject to flexible scheduling. Wow.
Because they're going to suck so bad, they're going to move them out of their game slots and put them at the early game.
Okay, so week 2, they have the Rams at home.
So I say they beat the Rams at home.
Okay, then they have the Lions at home.
Loss.
Then they have the They have the Commanders at home.
Loss.
Then they go to the 49ers.
Loss.
They go to the Packers.
Loss.
They are on Thursday Night Football and have the Chargers at home.
Thursday Night Football with 2 one-win teams. Give me the Arizona Cardinals in that game.
Okay, then they are at the Dolphins.
Loss.
Then they have the Bears at home.
That's a bad one, too. Give me a loss.
Okay, then they have the. So this is sorry. The shading on this is terrible. I would say at the Jets because that's the color it is, but they have the Jets at home.
45-0 loss.
Thank you. Then they go to a bye week. Come off the bye week, they are at Seahawks.
Loss.
Then they are at the Vikings.
Loss.
They have Seahawks at home.
Loss.
They have the Patriots at home.
Loss.
They go to the Panthers.
Loss.
Oh my God.
They go to the Rams.
Loss.
And then they have the Niners at home.
That could be. They could win that one because the Niners have nothing to play for. But let's go loss.
Wow.
1-16.
2-15. Wow.
Yeah, I'm okay with 2-15. I do think that first week will be a competitive game.
Wow, that is brutal.
Nick has them at 6-12.
Yeah.
Well, they play
I
17
think they'll win
games.
4.
I'm telling you, I will say this though, Eric. Give the devil their due. But division games, man, Arizona, Seattle, they always play close, no matter how bad the teams are. So you were so quick to say loss. And, division games are hard, man. They're just hard to predict. They really are. And so, I mean, on paper, you can look at it and say, yeah, there ain't no way. But they always play Seattle tough.
They could play some tough and win, but they're not going to get much over 5 wins. I mean, you could say 3 games there,
Yeah,
including Buffalo. That could go the other way, but I don't see it.
I mean, Josh Dobbs led him to more victories than you're giving him credit for.
Yeah, he did, but I don't know. Like James Conner's another year old. Marvin Harrison I like, but beyond that, they don't really have a ton of weapons.
They got John Connor. All right. So, David, we're going to go on the Seahawks with you.
right.
They have the Broncos at home.
Win.
Go to Patriots.
Win.
Miami at home.
Loss.
They are Monday Night Football at Detroit.
Loss.
Giants at home.
Win.
Thursday Night Football. San Francisco at home.
A short week, it's a loss.
Then they travel to Atlanta.
I think it's going to be a loss.
Then they have the Buffalo Bills at home.
Loss.
They have the Rams at home.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say they win. What did I say the Rams did against them? Did I do the Rams?
Rams, November 3rd. You had them losing to the Seattle Seahawks, so you're good there.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Then they have the bye week. Then they are they go to San Francisco.
That's a loss.
Okay, because 17th. Okay, and then they have the Cardinals at home.
They win.
Then they go to the Jets.
Loss.
Then away at the Cardinals.
I think they win. I think they lose that game. I think they split with the Cardinals. So they lose that game. Seattle does.
Okay. Then they have Green Bay at home on Sunday Night Football.
I'm going to give Seattle the win because it's at home.
All right. Then they have the Vikings at home.
Win.
Then they go Thursday Night Football at Chicago.
If it was any other team, I'd probably say it's a loss. You know what? I'll say it's a loss. I'm gonna give Chicago a victory on Thursday night in Chicago.
All right. Then last game of the year, they are at the Rams. And you had
I think I had the Rams
winning that.
Yeah. Yep. So
okay,
it's a loss.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got them going 7-10. Eric, you got the 49ers.
Hey guys, I'll be right back.
Okay. So Sunday Night Football, first week of the year, they have the Jets at home.
That's gonna be a good one. Your Jets will still win the AFC, but let's give San Francisco the win at home.
Okay, then they are at the Vikings,
Win.
at the Rams,
At the Rams, loss.
then they have the Patriots at home,
Win.
the Cardinals at home,
Win.
then they're at the Seahawks for Thursday night,
Loss.
and then they have the Chiefs at home.
Loss.
Then they have the Cowboys at home
Win.
for Sunday Night Football.
Win.
Then they're on a bye week. Week 10 at Buccaneers.
Loss.
Then they have the Seahawks at home.
Win.
Packers, they go to the Packers.
Loss.
Then they are at the Buffalo Bills for a Sunday Night Football game.
Buffalo coming off a loss. I got a win.
Okay, then they have the Bears at home.
Win.
They go to they have the Rams at home.
Win.
Then they go to the Dolphins.
Loss.
Then they have the Lions at home.
That'll be a good one.
That's going to be a great game.
That's going to be a good one.
And that's Monday Night Football.
Revenge game for Dan Campbell. He gambles and wins on a 4th down play. Give me the Lions.
Oh, they're going to have okay. And then they're at the Cardinals last week of the season. And you had the Cardinals. And you said the Cardinals were going to lose, so you got the San Fran had a win last week of the season.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got to go on 10-7.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. I know Jeff will say they're 15-2 like he did with Buffalo last year, but I don't think they'll be very good.
All righty. So we're going to go on to we'll do you for the next one since David's not back. The Indianapolis Colts. So we're going to move to the AFC South. And so they got the Texans at home week 1.
They lose week 1.
Then they go to the Packers.
Lose.
Then they have Chicago at home.
Win.
Then they go to the Steelers.
The Colts come to Pittsburgh? Or are you sure?
Yep. Colts go to Pittsburgh, 1 o'clock on September 29th.
I'll have to go to that one. I've not missed a Colts Steelers game in a long time. I'm going to go a loss.
Okay, then they are at – I apologize. They have the Steelers at home, not away.
I don't care. Either way, they get beat.
Okay. They are at Jacksonville.
Loss.
Then they are at Tennessee Titans.
Oh, God. Loss.
Then they have Miami at home.
Loss.
Then they are at the Texans.
Loss.
Then they are at Minnesota Vikings.
Win.
Then they have Buffalo at home.
The Colts?
Yep.
Oh, man. I ain't going to do it to you. Dave, I don't think Indianapolis is that good. Give me the Bills. I think the Bills have to win that game.
Okay. Then they go to the New York Jets on Sunday Night Football.
They get smoked by the Jets.
All right. Versus then they have Detroit at home.
They get smoked by Detroit.
Okay, then they're at New England Patriots.
I think the Colts lose to New England.
Then they have a bye week in week 14. Man, that's really freaking late to have a bye week.
I know, it's pretty late.
Then they go to Denver.
Two bad teams. Give me the Colts beating the Broncos.
Then they have Tennessee at home.
Give me a win.
Then they go to the New York Giants.
Give me a loss.
And then they have Jacksonville at home.
Loss. Or no. We'll give them a win at the end of the year. So they end the year with some hope. So what I got about 6-11, 7-10.
You got them at 5-12.
I think the Colts will be bad. I'm not a big believer in Anthony Richardson, so unless Joe Flacco takes over and takes him on a magical run like he did to Cleveland, I don't believe in AR-15. It's only his third year playing quarterback. Yeah.
Well, first of all, sorry, I had to do something, but when I came back and you said a lot, I thought you were talking about San Francisco was gonna like get smoked, and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
No, Dave. I do have San Francisco going 10-7, but they win their division.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think they'll have a step back.
But I do want to say one other thing. Disclaimer: if you notice the guy up there, Eric, in the top corner, he is going for the Brian Daboll Halloween costume, so you have to forgive his bias because the more he likes him, the more he's turning into him. If you can honestly look at him, so that's where the Brian Daboll love comes from.
All righty. So, okay, David, you get the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, thank you.
Week 1 at Chicago.
Ooh, Battle of the Behemoths. Can I say tie? Is there a tie? No,
Yeah, you can call tie.
No, Tennessee wins that game.
Okay, then they have Jets at home.
Loss.
Green Bay at home.
Loss.
Monday Night Football, they go to the Dolphins.
That's a loss.
Then they have a bye week, and they have Indy at home.
Win.
They go to Bills.
Loss.
They go to the Lions.
Loss.
They got New England at home.
Win.
They have they go to Chargers.
I think they squeak out a win, 14-13.
Okay, then they have the Vikings at home.
They lose.
They go to the Houston Texans.
Loss.
They go to the Washington Commanders.
Loss.
They have Jacksonville at home.
I say they win.
Then they have the Bengals at home.
Loss. No,
They
they lose that one, Eric. Sorry. Can't
go to the Colts.
I say they lose that game because it's in Indy.
Okay, then they go to Jacksonville.
Loss in Jacksonville.
And then they have the Texans at home.
I'm going to say only because the Texans will be sitting their starters. I say they win that game because I think Texans wrap up the division and probably the number 1 or 2 seed in the AFC.
Okay. All right. So you guys talk about something for 2 minutes. I got a quick handle dinner. Dinner's boiling over. So let me just turn that down. I'll be right back.
Yep.
David.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, and guys, if you guys have any questions you want to ask us, put them up in there. I know we're doing this division ranking or wins-loss prediction, but if you guys have any questions you want to ask us to answer for you and our thoughts on that, we'll be more than happy to answer them. Like, for example, you could ask, does Eric really look like Brian Daboll? I will bring you a picture next week and put it next to him just for comparison. And you will see the similarities are stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, and I'm as intelligent as Coach of the Year in 2022, Brian Daboll. And I can take a Buffalo team who's trending in the wrong direction to the AFC title game and be 13 seconds away from winning.
Mike calls you skinny, Brian. I don't know.
That's the
I don't
count.
know. Eric's face is starting to round out a little.
Dayball goes and drinks beer while I'm in the gym. So that's true. Watch Hard Knocks on HBO while eating your boneless buffalo wings.
I'm just saying, your face is starting to get that rounded Brian Dayball look to it, man. You're going hard. I think I'm going to send you a New York Giants starter jacket.
You notice I keep saying New York? It's New York Giants, New York Jets, but
New Jersey
not,
Giants. The New Jersey Giants. Hey, if Aaron Rodgers
it's not the New York Bills.
If your God Aaron Rodgers said it, it must be true.
Hey, is what it is. All right, so Eric, we're gonna go back to you real quick with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, they are at Indy.
What did I have Indy doing?
You had Indy losing.
I had Indy losing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Jacksonville winning.
Okay, then you got Kansas City.
Loss.
Houston at home.
Loss.
Atlanta.
Well, no, wait. Win.
Okay.
Win.
Then Atlanta at home.
Win.
This is a London game.
Oh. Win, because they beat the piss out of teams in London, don't they, Dave?
Oh, speaking of beating the piss out of teams, then this is either London or it's Germany. Buffalo.
Oh, they get to play Buffalo in Europe again?
No, Buffalo don't go to Europe.
Well, then why is it 9:30? Oh, because they're freaking no. It's 9:30 a.m. NFL Network. That's definitely it's either Germany.
He printed the schedule from 2023.
Oh shit! I did.
Okay. Hey, we'll skip over the Jaguars tonight.
Okay, we'll
go back. They win that game.
The Jaguars suck. So
okay, so starting week 1, Eric, you got the Houston Texans now. They are at the Colts, and
I had the Texans winning.
Yes, you do. Okay, then then Chicago Bears at home.
Win.
Then at Minnesota Vikings.
Go with an upset. Give me the Vikings in that game. Dave, weird shit happens in the NFL every once in a while.
All right, then they have the Jacksonville Jaguars at home.
Give me a win.
Then they have the Buffalo Bills at home.
Big win.
Oh, then they are at New England.
Give me a letdown game at New England.
Okay, then they are at the Packers.
Loss.
Then they have Indy at home.
Win.
Then they are at the New York Jets.
Oh, they don't have a chance in that game.
Okay, thank you. Then they have Detroit Lions at home.
That'll be a good game. I think Detroit comes to play, but give me a Texans win at home.
Okay. And the New York Jets is a night game, and so is Detroit. Then they go to the Dallas Cowboys for another night game.
I think it's the coronation of the Texas' new team, and I think they win.
Okay. Then they have Tennessee at home.
Give me a win.
Then they are at Jacksonville Jaguars.
Loss.
Then they have a bye week, week 14. Then they have Miami at home.
Loss.
Then they go to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Give me a loss.
Then they have Baltimore at home on Christmas.
Oh my God, that schedule is awful for the Texans.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not a good schedule. They got the Baltimore at home.
Yep, at home on Christmas Day at 3:30.
Man, right after they have Kansas City. Is that right?
They go to Kansas City.
They
And
go to
then
Kansas.
4 days later, they have Baltimore at home.
Oh my God.
That's a loss. That's a
That's a
4
loss.
days later.
I don't know if they can win that. Well, I mean, the Ravens are on a short week too, but I think the Ravens have the Steelers the week before. So I mean that be a bloodbath. Give me a win.
Okay, you gonna change that one? Okay.
Yeah, give me a win at home.
And then they go to Tennessee for the last game of the year.
What do I have their record at right now, Sean?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 7.
Yeah, I think they're 10-7, and I think they take a step back. So I'm going to give them a win at the end of the year. But I got Houston Texans winning the division at 10-7.
Eric, okay, 10-7. All right. Well, except for my stupid, paying attention to things. Okay,
That's
that's everything to run through. Does anyone have anything else, or do you want to go to last word?
Like I said, this ain't the last word, but I just want to say again, I mean, you're right. I mean, we predict these games and we sit here today and say, but the NFL, teams that are supposed to win end up losing, teams that are supposed to lose end up winning. So, I mean, we look at it on paper, but by week 2 or 3, you could have a team with 3 injuries and it changes the entire course of a season. Or trajectory of a season, to sit there and look at what Houston did just in our game picks that Eric did. You tend to forget that when a team is good, they play a much gooder schedule, and so a gooder. So again, you look at the Texans last year, and now all of a sudden you're playing Kansas City 4 days later, you're playing Baltimore.
God.
You got those top tier teams that you have to get through. So it does make it as good as you think they are and as good as you see that their roster is and the things they've done. The teams that they play are elevated from what they were when they had the second pick overall. So what you saw from Houston last year, if C.J. Stroud is the real deal and can carry things over, then maybe this team has the ability to go 12-5. But that's got it. He would really have to be the real deal, and that team would really have to be pretty healthy and consistent throughout the year to do that. So every year is a different year, man. That's just what I see.
All right, Eric, what you got?
I guess we're doing multiple last words, or are we doing last words?
Yeah, we do multiple.
Go ahead.
Give us 2 minutes, and then I'll wind up the show.
Okay. Well, final 2 minutes of the day. I'd like to thank Applebee's for giving me bad stomach aches in the morning from eating my boneless wings. I can tell you that it makes me feel like I have, after I take my Rybelsus, I have stomach paralysis. So for a couple minutes a day, I sit there while I'm constipated, and the next moment I have diarrhea. It is the real thing. So please eat your boneless wings in moderation. That is all. I'll see everybody next Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
All right.
I feel better now.
There you go. So Applebee's does serve a purpose, except for turning people vegetarian. So here we are. So we're going to wind it up here. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate the time you spend with us. And as we get closer to the season, these shows will get a lot better. My last 2 things: Rufus hummingbirds are assholes. Mm-hmm. So if anyone is a hummingbird person, those little orange suckers out here, they're dicks, and they run everyone off from your feeders. I had 18 hummingbirds, and now I'm down to 9. Anyway, and then the other thing, I just, whatever you guys can do, you do not want to get summer COVID. I got it 2 weeks ago. It kicked my ass for 3 days. My father's he's 78. He got sick for 2.5 weeks, like crazy. So, it is still out there. Just protect yourselves. And if you're young and healthy, you should be able to get through it in a couple days. But if you're not, be careful.
Absolutely. So, again, thank you, all for tuning in. And again, our fantasy football is going to start. Anybody who was in last year, your league will kick back on, and you will be asked to join. As for Tim, like I said, I will be in contact with you because, yeah, definitely I want you in. So we'll work it out and we'll make it happen. But again, for everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. It was nice and calm because Jeffrey wasn't here and we all got to say what we needed to say without interruption. I even let Brian Dable talk, which is fantastic. Sean even got a word in edgewise tonight, which was nice to hear. If you haven't tuned into our show before, that's probably the most words Sean has said on our show in about 2 months. So, again, Sean is a person. He's not a robot. He is not AI. He is actually a physical person. So, but no, again, you guys are great. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And you are right, Sean. Our shows will be starting to get better, especially with training camp coming up. We'll have more NFL news. And again, go on our group page. If you want us to talk about anything, if you want us to bring up anything on the show that you guys are interested in, write a post, put it down. We look at it. We'll respond to it. We'll talk about it. We'll let you talk about it. If you ever want to come on the show and talk about your points of view, we will be more than happy to send you an invite. We will send you a link, and you are more than welcome to come on this show and speak to us and tell us your points of view. We are an open forum. We enjoy your feedback. So again, from all of us here, y'all have a great rest of your Wednesday evening and good week, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, folks.